Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Marquez Potter Presents. Today we're visiting with Fredric Abramson, who I hope is going to become a very frequent guest. This is show number 2, so he and I are going to talk about most likely genetics and how that how that works in sports, maybe high school sports, perhaps. You said last time, hello, Fredric, good to see you. You wanted me to call you Fredric and not Dr. Abramson.
Yes, that's correct.
So, but I'm putting that in there so the audience knows that you're a hot shot research scientist that we don't even deserve to have on the show here.
No,
I got one of my t-shirts on that has words on it, but so last time you said that your potential clients for your Golden Threads tech were soccer moms and some kind of dads. I can't remember the kind of dads.
well, actually, moms who have kids playing sports of any type.
Right,
Soccer is obviously one of them, but it could be
right.
baseball,
Okay.
basketball. Um, the adult weekend warrior, the the adult
Oh, that's right. That's
who
right.
goes out
Okay.
and loves
Right.
playing at night and weekends, and then the dads.
All
But
right.
all three groups are very highly motivated because everyone, for parents, the anxiety is knowing that if your kid gets hurt playing sports, it
Yeah.
has impact on the family as a whole. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. Well, of course. Plus, mothers love their children like it's like no other relationship on the planet, as far as I can tell. So,
I think that's true. And
yeah.
the adult athlete is aware that an injury, particularly a serious one, is massively disruptive to their everyday life.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, and anyone who's been an athlete knows that getting hurt is something you just don't want to have happen. And I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I have one of my slogans is getting hurt is worse than losing because then you're out of the game.
Oh, interesting. No, I haven't heard that. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to capture that somewhere. Because I like putting things like that in the post, when we
Yeah.
post it. So
But it's,
maybe if you want to send me that quote in an email, that would be nice.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah, because, as a former athlete, I saw a lot of um, my teammates and guys on the other team get hurt, and it's disruptive, but the psychological impact is huge. And um,
Yeah.
but to give you a sense of where my mind goes, when I was playing slow pitch softball when I was a graduate student at the University of Michigan, I
Okay.
I stepped in a hole in foul territory and
Okay.
broke my ankle.
Oh
Okay,
my goodness.
right. So here I am now with a cast on my lower leg, mainly to heal the soft tissue damage. Because
Okay.
and we were playing in a state tournament in slow pitch softball in Michigan, and I would go to the game because I'm still one of the team members,
Right.
and I was the starting pitcher. So I get to the game, and the relief pitcher hadn't shown up.
Oh my God.
So I say, okay, give me the
Ah,
ball. So I
ah,
go on the mound, and the umpire, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to pitch with a cast on your leg. Yeah, what's it? It's slow pitch. So
yeah, yeah.
so I'm pitching, and the number three batter comes up, and is this massive guy,
Oh
huge.
my God.
And the first two pitches he hits about 350 feet foul, just
Wow.
bomb.
Wow.
The next pitch, he hits a one-hop grounder to me, and I
Oh
catch the
my God.
ball and I throw him out.
Really?
So,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
right. So by then
Congratulations.
the relief pitcher comes, and now I'm sitting on the bench. And after the game, the guy comes up to me and he says, "I want to apologize for hitting the ball to you." I said, "What?" He said, "That was the first ground ball I hit all year. I was trying not to hit it at you. And because I was focused on not hitting at you, I ended up hitting it at you."
Yeah. No, that's yep. Oh boy, that's like I used to take a class in which they said to us, "Don't think of pink elephants." It's that kind of a situation. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. Now, this your pre-genetics days or not?
Oh, well, I was a graduate student in human genetics. So,
At
yeah,
that time, okay.
yeah, but it was way pre to the period when we did the human genome was finished, and before we really realized that I realized that the world of genetics is best focused on non-disease issues, because in
Okay.
those days everything was about what disease could we diagnose or identify that has a genetic input.
Yeah, no, I believe that. That's probably the impetus for the early. Can you repeat some of the stuff because not everybody watches every show.
Sure.
So I want to hear again because I'm so proud of having you on the show. I want to hear about your undergraduate school and your graduate. And were you one of the people that helped map the genome originally or not?
No, the people who mapped the genome were mainly at the National Institute of Science and Technology in the Department of Energy
People
in
that
the
people that have
90s.
probably now been fired, I suppose.
Well, it could be, but it's an interesting story because most people think that the National Institutes of Health would have been the Human Genome Project. But in the 90s, Congress was concerned about the impact of an atomic war on the human.
Huh.
And so they asked the Department of Energy to do the research because the atomic is energy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it started in the Department of Energy.
I'll be darned.
Yeah,
I had never heard anything like that, and that's wow. So you did your undergraduate work where?
at the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay, and what did you do it in?
Well, I started out in electrical engineering and I failed 6 of my first 10 classes.
I, well, Einstein failed miserably in some topics too, by the way.
Well,
That's pretty well
Einstein,
documented.
he clearly was a smart guy, but
That's the
um,
rumor anyway, yeah.
so the university told me to take a year off. So I
Huh.
spent I spent the year working in the music business and in retail sales.
I'll
I
be darned.
I worked at a place called Bargain City, which was like
Okay.
a big box store like Walmart, except
Right.
in downtown Philly it was vertical, right?
Okay.
Ninth and Market. And it was a very interesting experience, Mark, because I didn't realize the impact of what happened when I was working there until I was in my late 30s, early 40s.
In terms
Because
of your damage to your body or what?
no, here I was 18 years old
Okay.
and I'm working in a department store.
Right.
And one day the manager of the store comes up to me and says, "The manager of the record department where I was working has just quit. We want you to take over the record department and manage it." So
Right.
now I'm 18 and I have hiring, firing, buying, and merchandising authority. A few months later, the manager comes up to me and says, "The manager of appliances just quit. We want you to take that over too."
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't until I was really in my late 30s that I realized what was going on, because who gives an 18-year-old those responsibilities?
Yeah.
He clearly said I was doing the job.
Right, right,
And,
right.
and a guy told me if I had stayed in retail, I would have been a CEO at 35. But
Oh,
I went back to school to get
yeah.
my
Well,
degree.
that was your passion, I
Yeah.
would say, clearly. So when
But
you went back to undergraduate, what did you do next?
well, I went and majored in mathematical biology and English.
Geez.
And but here is the interesting thing, and this shows you how people who pay attention to what goes on as kids can make a difference. So when I went back to school, the university told me I'm on probation, because when you return from a leave of absence, you're on probation.
Okay.
You're allowed 2 semesters.
Huh. Okay.
I, I was on for 7 consecutive semesters.
I'll be darned.
Every
Wow.
time my case came up, they found a reason to extend it another semester.
Huh.
So here I am and the reason they would extend it, my case came up is because I would get an F here and there. If I didn't like a class, I just said, give me an F. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So, but I was able to graduate, and two things happened. One, I applied to graduate school, and I applied to Penn State, Maryland, Rochester, and Stanford. And Rochester and Stanford took me. Penn State and Maryland turned me down. But and more interestingly, I taught high school math in Philadelphia for a year.
I'll be darned.
And it was an incredible experience because I grew up in Philly, and
Right.
one of the high schools I taught in was the one I went to as when I was a young.
Oh, that's nice.
So but it was fascinating to work and to be teaching these kids. But because of my own educational experience, I didn't like giving tests that required memory.
Yeah.
So I had the students write a term paper in math,
Oh, wow.
and
That's
they had to then give an oral report to the class.
what what kind of topics were they? Did you give them the topic or did they have some
They would pick the topic themselves, and I would
okay.
approve it. So one student did his paper on the trajectory of bullets fired at different angles.
But this was high school level stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Another one did a thing on how to understand the angles of making turns when you're driving.
Okay, well no, that's kind yeah, why not?
Right. But they were focused on the real applications.
Yes, yes, thankfully, yes, that's good.
Yeah. So they really learned a lot. And then I went back to graduate school at Rochester, and I stayed there a year, and then ended up at the University of Michigan. Um, and I went to study mathematics, ecology in botany department.
Huh.
Well, and my now ex-wife was in human genetics. So I go to the lab where I'm supposed to be working with the guy, my major professor,
Right.
and he said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. I'm leaving the University of Michigan to go back to Santa Cruz because I'm taking over my father's vineyard."
Oh boy, you're
His
always in the
father,
right place at the right time, apparently.
yeah. So his father was Martin Ray for Martin Ray Vineyards. This was Peter.
Okay. Okay.
So I ended up working in population planning, doing computer programming.
Jeez. Wow.
And then, but I would go to the human genetics seminars because my wife is there.
Right, right.
And one day, the chairman of the department, James Van Gundy O'Neill, who was the founder of human genetics, he discovered the sickle cell gene in 1948.
I'll be darned. Wow.
He came up to me and said, "Why are you coming to these seminars?" I said, "Well, they're interesting, and my wife is here." So he said, "How would you like to give a seminar?" Sure. To do it on the
Wow.
ABO blood group of the American Indians. So
Huh.
I do a seminar, which included about Swiss males blood group types. And
Okay.
after the seminar, he came up to me and said, "This was a good seminar. How would you like to be a graduate student here?"
Your life is amazing. That stuff
Right.
really, wow.
But
You're,
that's the way it
you're,
worked.
yeah, that's fascinating stuff. I'm amazed at the way your life is put together. That is amazing.
Well, Mark, I would argue
Yeah.
that the cosmos has been looking out for me. But I do want to share
Apparent, yeah,
another example for your audience.
please.
So, so I'm in population planning and human genetics, and one of the professors, Gunnar Yerstam, calls me into his office and said, "I want you to read all of the science papers on the frequency of spontaneous abortion or miscarriage
Mm,
and tell me what they say." So I
mm.
read them all and I go back to Gunnar. I said, "Gunnar, I've got good news and bad news." He said, "What's the good news?" Everybody said it's about 25%. What's the bad news? They're all full of crap. Their methodologies are terrible.
Hmm.
He said, "Could you solve the problem?" I said, "Yeah, if I got the data."
Huh.
So, so I discovered that New York City requires reporting of all pregnancy outcomes, regardless of
Okay. So there was your
data.
database of,
Yeah. So I wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Health, uh,
okay.
Carl Earhart.
Right.
And I write a letter, "Dear Dr. Earhart, I'm a graduate student at University of Michigan. Please send me copies of your 1963 and 1965 vital records for pregnancy."
Right.
Now,
Oh,
I didn't know at the time, under New York law, it was illegal for me to get them.
huh. Okay.
So imagine the commissioner getting this letter. He walks
Right.
up, he walks up from his office, throws the letter on the secretary's desk, and probably says to her, "Take care of this," meaning send this kid a letter. He can't have the data.
Right. 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 Right.
She
Right.
she misinterprets what he means. She
Oh
calls the
my.
computer
Ha,
center.
ha,
The
ha.
commissioner wants you to send the guy the data. I get a call from the computer center, send us computer tapes. I send the tapes, they send me, I end up with 360,000 pregnancy records, the biggest
Good
data
Lord.
system in healthcare. And I did the math, had to do new mathematics. Turns out the frequency of pregnancy loss, Mark, is closer to 75%, not 25%.
Is it really? I
Yeah.
just don't. That's
Most of which in the first 2 months after the menstrual period, when women say, "I might have been pregnant, but maybe my period was late."
Oh, I see. Okay. So there's some of that that's yeah,
Right.
not as dramatic as what we see on TV.
Exactly. But
Okay.
here's the practical impact of that, which was a great lesson for me. I would talk to women who lost a pregnancy, and I would say to them, "Well, my work showed with 360,000 pregnancies that
Right.
roughly 3 out of 4 don't make it." You want to guess what every woman said to me in response to that phrase?
I don't dare guess. What did they say?
"You mean it's not my fault?"
Oh, that's beautiful. That's
You could hear where I'm going, Mark. The
yeah, no,
whole
that's
idea
beautiful.
of
Yeah.
blaming people for
Yes.
biology.
Yes.
And that was an aha moment for me where
Okay.
I said, we have to begin using science and data in a way that empowers people to make better choices without blaming them for things that happen that
Right.
don't.
That's boy. Have you written some books about all this?
No, I haven't. I, I just go on the journey, but I haven't written a book about it. But it's an
Well,
interesting question.
yeah, because you have a great a great approach that's so humane and has so much compassion.
Thank you.
Scientists are not known for subjective things like compassion, generally speaking, but that's very wonderful. So we just tell us a little about golden
Right.
thread tech. I keep wanting to call it golden thread tech genetics, but you don't call it that, right?
No, because your DNA is the golden thread that connects your past and your future. That,
Okay, okay,
you know, that's why I thought of the name. It's a
okay.
golden thread
Tell us,
technology.
so this audience seeing this will know a little about
Oh,
your business, and they can possibly call you when it's ready
sure.
for market and such.
Great point. Let me share how I got it started. So
Okay.
two events. In the late 90s, teaching at Johns Hopkins in the biotechnology program, where I taught the business courses,
Huh.
economics, finance, enterprise creation, not the science.
Okay. Right.
And my students who were with NIH and NIST said, we finished the Human Genome Project.
Huh.
I, okay, it's now time to bring genetics out of the darkness of death and dying into everyday
Right.
life.
Right. Right.
What would you call it? I said, wellness genetics, because it's
Huh.
about everything normal.
Right.
Then, about 6 years ago, a bunch of my students came to me and said, Dr. Abramson, you have to see this paper out of Stanford. They gave 14 triathletes their genetic data, and their injury rate went down 44%.
Huh.
I went, whoa, home run. That's huge. That means that genetic data about the human body is actionable to make adjustments.
Yeah. Now you're saying they just simply shared it with them.
Yeah, and they were able on their brain figure out what to do to change how they were playing the sport.
Wow.
But I said to my students, there's one problem with the study. They said, what's the problem? I said, they're from Stanford. I said, if you're from MIT, Stanford, and Caltech, science is not an issue for you. Everybody else has to have it put into a form they can use without having to become a scientist.
Oh boy.
And one of my students said, who's ever done that before? I said,
Yeah.
Google Maps.
Yes. Yes. I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why I said the phrase. My goal is to be the Google Maps of genetics because I want to make it usable without someone having to worry about having to become a scientist.
That's beautiful. Do you know anyone else out there who's doing anything close to the same approach anywhere in
Well,
science? I mean, I wish
there are
more scientists had this type of an approach.
there are companies that will do a genetic profile or look at 23andMe or Ancestry and tell you some genetics for injuries or for weight loss or whatever. But the
Okay.
problem is they give you a report and they give you things to do, and now kind of you're on your own. It's a very
Yeah.
traditional way, but to me, that doesn't really give you the dynamic interaction that makes it personalized.
Right. Right.
And so, I mean, think of the companies that are personalized. Amazon. The reason you shop on Amazon isn't because of pricing. It's because, among other things, it knows what you buy, and
Yeah.
it gives you information right away that
Yes.
focuses you do.
Yep. I sit there. I go to the buy again category first, and I go through and look at everything, and it has a picture of everything,
Right.
which with my, yeah, it's
But you
wow,
know, we talk about in communication the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But that's a little derogatory. To me, it's make it understandable and make it personal because people do not like generic information.
yeah, yeah.
And
They want something that's relevant to their
and
own situation.
they want it's relevant to their own situation. and they want it to apply to their life today. Another story for you that might resonate with your audience. In the 90s, I was chief scientist and general counsel to a weight loss company.
Okay.
And I was also on the part of the group of the Consumer Weight Loss Coalition from the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. And they were working to set policy for weight loss.
Yes.
So the gurus are up on stage saying, well, people got to lose weight or they're going to get heart disease or cancer or diabetes, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So the statistics that they gave are relevant for your audience. And this is in the 90s, it's probably the same today. They said out of every 100 people who are overweight, 20 don't care. 60 have given up. And of the other 20, one will lose weight and keep it off a year. So that's 1 out of 100. That's not bragging rights.
Yeah.
And they all, out of every 100 people who are on a weight loss plan, 80 are women and 20 are men.
Okay.
They said men do not try to lose weight unless they survive their first heart attack.
Huh.
And my comment was, if they don't survive, it's permanent weight loss, but nobody cares.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I
All right,
know.
we're let's do another show because we're out of time. This
Okay.
I
No,
waited even too long to.
I'll finish that story another time, but
So, well, do you
because
want to do another show today or not?
I'm pretty well booked up today. Let me just check.
Okay, no, anytime. We'll figure it out then,
Let,
folks.
let me,
This is but okay. Thank you for watching. Time went by fast. We love Dr. Abramson very much, and yes, I'm not supposed to call him that, but I'm just have a wealth of respect for someone who can combine science and compassion. We'll see you next time. Sir,
thank
thank you so much. Thank you. Take care of yourself, please. Let's get
thank you.
together as soon as you can, as soon as you want to. Okay?
Okay. I
All right.
appreciate it.
And I'm
Thank you.
sorry the show
It's
went
okay.
by so fast.
I
All
hope your
right.
audience enjoys it. Thank you.
I
Bye-bye.
know they will. We got to make a movie about your life or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Take care. Take care very much.